You're the cum
Yes.
Oh,
yes, man.
yes, man. Yes, man. Hey, yes, man. Were you a fan of all this excretory talk in the show? Normally we're above such things, but we really dived into it. I'd like to think we solved some problems, but do you feel like the world's better for us having hashed it out?
Anyway, see you later.
He must have had to go.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it was a scheduling conflict. I'm sure it was kind of him to even call in, to be
Right.
honest. I know
All we want to hear is the yes.
He's a very busy individual.
Right.
Yeah, you know, he's a crazy guy, that yes man, always yesing all over the place.
So we have some titles here. Everybody, NineTalk.showbot.tv is where you can vote. The top ones here include Dr. Brushwood's Scale of Emissions, Softcore BDSM Comedy Play. Very good. Number 3 is Cume.
Cume.
It Works, It's Fine. Brian has number 2 of the mouth. A number 2 show. God is the Gift Horse. This is how Roman mythology started. Brushy Street. 2 weeks. Fresh water and a place to poop. Not from their vaginas. The Mount Rushmore of bodily fluids is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
How much do you diarrhea? Menstruation is outside the Mount Rushmore. Let's see.
I'm jizzing in the clouds, bitch.
Look at gift ham in the mouth.
Give him a ham job.
Horning in the prophet. What's number 3? I do like what's number 3, if only because that's
like the
original prop.
unresolved question
Right.
of the entire thing. Like everything fell apart and none of us could agree on any numbers.
Fluid Dynamics 101.
Fluid dynamics. That's pretty good.
That's pretty solid. Here, I'm gonna click on one. Let's see. Moses said 1p 2 poop. If cum is not 3, what about sharks? A shark tail?
Baby shark. Do 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 do. No.
no.
Oh wait, somebody wrote that.
Yeah,
Shit.
no, I thought that's why.
I was not reading that. I just had that thought, and there it is. That was a weird moment.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in
Bryce.
the toilet. 5 in the toilet. You see 5?
Bryce,
well
well-known vomit skeptic.
Zitting into a toilet. So fucking gross. Oh my god.
Zitting on the toilet.
Mailbag number 4. I'm afraid I already wrote down butt. Thanks, butt stuff. Jizz ropes around Saturn is pretty succinct.
Maybe just ropes around Saturn.
Ropes around Saturn? Okay. I spent about 30 minutes today working on an audio drop before I realized that it was about Saturn and not Jupiter, and that the train song I was editing did not make sense anymore.
Drops of Saturn in her hair.
Pretty much, yeah. Number 1 is Dr. Brushwood's Scale of Emissions by a good number of votes.
I'm uncomfortable with
With putting your name on your bit?
well, I mean, because it grants it a scale of authority which it does not deserve.
I would disagree. I feel like Dr. Brushwood's Scale of Emissions is something that I would like to see on a very fancy book.
What if it was Mr. Brushwood's?
No, I mean,
No.
if we're gonna own it, then it might as well be a doctor.
What do you like, Justin?
Which ones were the top ones?
Scale of Emissions. Number 3 is Kim. This is how Roman mythology started. Gyms for Jay. Softcore BDSM comedy.
I mean,
I
That's
mean,
every
to me, the funniest part of the episode is the discussion of the scale of what is 3 and what is 4. So I would say
I'm okay with
at
Dr. Brushwood.
conservative. What is number 3, and but I think the most on brand for the episode would be the scale of emissions. But if Brian's not comfortable with
Do you
it,
want to
No,
do
I'm
the scale
down-
of
I'm
emissions? We can take your name off it.
No. I think.
sure?
I think that I was the most out there of everybody. I was the most passionate. I clearly have spent the most time thinking about it. I am the closest analog to Kellogg in the road to wellness. I'm the one saying that you should eat wheat because it'll stop you from being aroused. I'm
just saying.
I keep on going.
I'm giving you an out.
I'm the only one who could stop you from going number 4.
Everyone's like, oh, he really should be hosting Scam School. This guy gets it. Okay, last chance, giving you the out. You're good?
Yeah, no. I'm good with that.
Okay. Go.
The only thing that I'm uncomfortable with is I perceived at a low level that Justin was not enjoying that discussion. Was that the case, Justin?
no, I love the discussion. I wish we were just able to finish it.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I was just like, oh man, is this too off brand? Because this seems like territory that I'm really enjoying unpacking.
No, it
I,
was-
again, I was being totally honest. I really was like, oh my god, for
One
a
of
show that never plans anything and is fucking like, improv inside quotation marks and italicized to show how far off from actual practitioners we are. Like, we found ourselves in this moment of electricity where it's like, oh, here's a bit that like everybody knows. It's a fun kind of like, if even almost like perverse Bob and Tom kind of like, but what's 3 and 4? And like, all I wanted to do was get to a moment where we as a quorum got to a 3 and 4. And then Dr. Brushwood's scale of emissions was published, and we were not able to get to it, and that frustrated me. But that was my everlasting frustration, is that we had like we had gotten all the way there, we had sang all the notes, and then this is why we can't have nice things. This is why we're Night Attack.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. No, this was a case where, much like Weird Things, the moments we went off the rails in the early days were moments when it was something that we stumbled into an area that I'd really thought about and thought that I had a justifiable reason for things. And this is a case where I'm like, no, I've thought about this a lot, about the numbers and the scales and what goes what. And I apologize if I derailed things as a result.
I mean, no, it's
Fine,
funny
yeah.
for naming the episode after it, so like, it worked.
Oh man. So
man.
when do you get into town?
I think I'm on a red eye, so I get in like Saturday morning.
Oh. So Justin won the belt, but I'm really surprised. I thought Brian's Odenkirk sushi story was going to make an appearance in the show.
Oh, yeah, it didn't.
The belt was humble brag. The whoever mentions meeting or having a connection to a celebrity gets the belt, and Justin got it because I think mentioning who was it? It was during the scoops, or it was during the Hill Bill talk, I think, or maybe.
Oh wait,
before
did I
that.
mention Matt Donnelly? Everybody tweet Matt Donnelly and say that he's a celebrity enough to win me the belt. That's good for him.
Yeah. So I think that's what it was. But Sign's the judge, so he might remember better than me. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I wish I had a. Actually, you know what? I'm glad I don't have a better story about Bob Odenkirk, because like nothing good for me personally would have come from interrupting his sushi meal with who I think might have been Vince Gilligan upon looking at pictures at Vince Gilligan. Like nothing good would have come of that.
Now, what is your move on, like, if you were to interrupt them? What is your move? Are you like just quick, like, hey man, huge fan guy? Like, are you, I need to shake your hand? Are you picture? Are you, can you sign my titty? Like where you at?
I think there's a bunch of moves if I don't actually care about the person. But in this situation, actually caring about both Bob Odenkirk and possibly maybe not Vince Gilligan, I can conceive of no moves that would elevate me in status that I could make.
Okay, all right. So let's say you had to though. Like this is like a move where like you have to approach a hero at a sushi restaurant. What would be the most likely one?
I think Nick with the C has it. Sign my boob, Frodo. You're Frodo Baggins. You're Frodo Baggins. And then I open up my shirt and expose my chesticle and hand of Sharpie. And the easiest thing for him to do is to just sign my boob, Frodo Baggins, and let me go.
God, can we just bring back that bit?
Albert Aguirre says, "Are you ever gonna finish that story?" I think you guys gave it up a few months ago.
No, fuck it.
No,
No.
never
Oh,
did.
no.
That was a fake out ending. That wasn't even the true story. The true story is fucking amazing.
We have never revealed ever the true story of Frodo Baggins. I feel like we should just go back to just ending the shows with, and next week we'll get to the story about this and showing that picture.
And, you know what? Let's make it canon. I think, you and I talked about it at the time about how we really regret. There's only one regret we have of that whole era, and that's that we gave people a fake cop-out bullshit ending to the story. That's not the real story.
No. I mean, I thought everybody got that. I thought it was so obviously fake that
we thought they would understand that this was all irony, but apparently we needed to put that on T-shirts for them to really understand it. But truthfully,
We haven't even done that yet.
the real story. Oh boy, man, oh man.
When you find out, hey, be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm gonna go private next week.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Wait, are you really?
No, that's another.
Oh, was that
Remember
another
that?
thing we said we were
That
going to
was
do?
the thing that you guys did for.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. That sounds like something we would have done.
Wait. What was it?
Well,
It
we
was-
used to constantly claim that you were going to go private next week, and you had to follow you now while you still could.
Oh, jeez, I don't even remember that.
It was around the No, it was maybe a few years after Frodo, but yeah, it was a thing. I remember.
Oh my god.
No, Frodo was the first episode of NSFW show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we genuinely ran out of time.
We genuinely ran out of time, and then it just
Frodo
became
Baggins
so
and Matt Damon are were accidental bits that became long-running gags.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Pretty good.
Oh shit! Is it M Beam's got the actual Frodo Baggins picture?
Yeah, there it
That's
is.
Sarah Lane. Somebody put Sarah Lane.
Put Sarah Lane on this photo. I was like, Sarah's not in.
I got all excited. Frodo Baggins.
What I like is that her head is not like the right perspective for where it's placed, so her eye looks out of
She's disappointed and yet also bemused. Frodo Baggins saying, "Sign my chest," as one does.
You know what's funny is because of how that picture was taken, they had to put another bar behind her to put her head there.
Put a background in it, yeah.
Because I know where that was taken because I took the fucking photo and I'm like, that's not the Smoky Bones in Davy.
Oh my god! Do you remember that time we got drunk with the Crypt Keeper? Like we have had so
that
many
was best.
dumb
I was thinking about that
adventures.
the other night. That was one of the most fun nights of my life. Because by the way, spoiler alert: the Crypt Kicker can fucking drink.
Yeah, you may wonder how I became a pickled jewel of the Death Nile. Meet me at World of Beers, and then you can pee in a tin can in a live stream.
Though, so wait, all right. So we drank in there for a while. We drank at World of Beers in Coconut Creek, and then he left. But then like we just stayed and live streamed. Was that what happened?
Yeah, it was pretty great.
That was pee in a trash can.
That was so good, man.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do Lana Janko. We're just gonna weave in old bits. Like, fuck it, man. These things are good.
Yeah.
And like fucking 90 people watched them the first time. So
Fucking Lana Janko.
Oh God, that's right. What?
Do you remember the domain.com ad that Brant did where it was for Scam School. It was him riffing on Memento, and he looks at his hands and he rubs at the tattoo that says "Remember Lana Janko." Oh, God, did you ever see that? Oh my God! If somebody could find it, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Sunbun says, "Bring back Fapper." We brought Fapper to Dragon Con.
Yeah, fuck you, Sunbun. Like it's fucking. I have exactly 3 hours to get sleep, and I get a text saying, make sure to bring Fapper. So I got 2.5 hours of sleep instead. But goddamn if I didn't bring Fapper.
And Sunbun kept saying through the
For literally no reason. Literally no reason.
He kept saying, I need to give Brian something to do with Fapper, otherwise he's gonna get mad.
That is said with all love.
Hey, here's Jay's gym.
Sunbun. Yeah, and Fapper never showed up.
He was there. I saw him in the hotel room. But he was
can I say, if for whatever reason you were watching us live and you have not watched the Dragon Con episode, please go back and watch the Dragon Con episode. It was
great.
And it was really, 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 really fun. And it was just us in the Jeep and and Tom, of course. Spoiler alert, Tom Merritt showed up. Brian and I spit taked on each other.
Big spit takes too. Big ones.
By the way, because ICU, I'm sure he'll be able to post the link in here, put together a musical tribute to our spit take. You realize that one of us has breathed fire for a living and the other is not. Because Brian's spit take is fucking pristine. Like, there's a reason why I got done with the spit take and I'm like, I'm literally fucking just drenched.
Brian's goes like 3 times longer than
I'm like an orca whale. So majestic. So majestic.
No, somebody's got to find the
I got it.
He put a little fucking music to it that was amazing.
MD Talk says spit takes are number 14.
I haven't seen this. This is amazing. Oh my god.
Open bio, come on with that. Come on, man.
Oh my god. Oh.
Thank you to everybody who helped us get to our next emote slot and get us halfway to our next emote slot. We were talking we were chatting over the rewind on the weekend about what the next emote might be, and we were thinking maybe we'd do a ham for Jay.
Oh my god, that would. Sorry, I had a real moment just then. I'm sorry. Wow. Hey, subscribe, guys. Heck, maybe even I'll subscribe.
Maybe. I know I'm definitely lapsed, but we're actually halfway to our next goal too. So, if you guys have other ideas, let me know in the Discord. And I at some point need to take a look at the ones that we have and see what gets used a lot and what doesn't, and what we can maybe replace. Because we had a lot of ideas at first. Maybe it's time to
yeah.
flush
What's
them in.
funny is how quick they're all like, "Oh my god, yeah, no hams. That would be so sweet, so tender." And then somebody says, "Fucking make it a ham, or I will quit."
So yeah.
Well, here we got time, right? We're hanging out.
Sure.
Do you want me to get you a beverage, sir?
I'm okay. I'm still working on this
Okay.
grapefruit. I feel like the grapefruit is the one I don't like, but I'm working on it. It's my 3rd drink of the day, so I'm sad. Thank you.
All right, here, Bryce. Are you ready for the segment that everybody's been waiting for?
Oh, absolutely.
College football recap with Bryce Castillo, the only Oregon Ducks segment that we've ever done on the Night Attack show. And now for your host, Bryce Castillo.
Thank you, everybody. Man, hey, the Ducks showed up again last week. They showed up on Saturday. They played Portland State at Oregon, and they crushed them. It was fucking what? 63 to 14 or something. They crushed them.
I mean, everybody must have been really excited in the town that the University of Oregon's in. Don't Google it, you fuck.
I'm not in Eugene.
In Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene, Oregon, right, where Oregon is.
Did you see the Oregon Ducks mascot came out in the Kanye outfit?
He did. I think I retweeted it. I still have never seen. I've never watched. I have seen a clip of that video without sound on. I haven't even seen it with the sound. But it's like a Kanye.
It's called it's his new single "I Love It," which by the way he debuted during the Pornhub Awards, which he artistically directed because it's 2018. The video's actually really good. Just skip ahead a little bit to the majority of the video is what you're gonna see here, but you can play a little bit of this Lil Pump.
But they're like in these big like Roblox sort of bodysuits. But it's like these two guys, I guess, trying to creep on Adele Givens.
Yeah. Well, I think that they're like kids, like following their mom. Weirdly enough.
I can see that. The cinematography sort of leans to that.
But it's obviously a sexually themed. I mean, the chorus is "You're such a fucking hoe, I love it. Your boyfriend is a nerd, McLovin."
True. I mean, even the way it's shot, just the angles give it a sort of paternal, maternal sort of vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like they're wearing costumes like characters in an app, to be moved around.
Sure. Yeah. No. Like, very blocky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually like as far as music videos go, like it's been a while since you do like whenever you do like a weird kind of artistic statement sort of video, and for a video that Kanye debuted during the Pornhub Awards, it's the best video debut during the Pornhub Awards.
So I got a question. Does anybody remember the brand that IKEA originally launched under in the United States? Because I was just thinking like I would never accuse you guys of sacrificing the sanctity of our games for a bit, but if you were combining astronomy and familiarity with IKEA and Scandinavian branding would be the perfect mixture. Because when I was in Norway when IKEA was a thing, I was in the United States when IKEA first came to the United States, and yet they did not launch under the IKEA name. They changed the name. Do you have any idea of what the American original launch name was?
Furnichal.
No.
Frustrating store.
You're close. In fact, I would have given it to you. It was Store, S-T-O with a slash through it, R,
Stir.
which technically would have been Stur,
Yes.
but nobody knew what to do with it. So basically, they took IKEA, they launched it in Houston, Texas, or I don't know if they maybe they launched it in test markets elsewhere, but in Houston, I saw it, and it was S-T-R.
Yeah.
And they but how do you say that in an ad? So it's like they just called it Store, like it was yeah, right.
Well.
Wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute.
IKEA acquired Stur in 1992 after suing them.
Oh, whoa! There's a deeper layer.
Yeah.
Keep going.
IKEA filed a lawsuit against the company shortly after opening, claiming copyright infringement, settled in 1988. With Stur being forced to change the layout of their stores and advertising, they were acquired by IKEA in 1992.
Wait, so IKEA said, you're an awful lot like IKEA, even though you're not named IKEA. We're going to sue you. We won that, and with all our money, we're going to buy you. And then we're going to call you IKEA.
I guess so.
That's a very different narrative than I perceived it while it was happening. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a different totally.
Because this
Houston.
When the brand was purchased by IKEA, the Houston, Texas store continued operating under the same franchise agreement, becoming one of only a few independently franchised IKEA locations in the world.
How crazy.
Wowzers.
So what was it that they infringed upon? Because they didn't call it IKEA, and if they stole just the idea of, shit that packs flat.
My guess is their advertising and their layouts were very similar. And similar enough
that an 8th grader in Houston, Texas was able to say, IKEA's here, and I guess it's called Store. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
All right, fuck you, Dan 30, or Dan 1033, who says, got that one wrong too?
All right, fine. For real. From zero to loose change, where are you on thinking that Bryce and I fixed this game for the first time in the history of the show?
I mean, it wasn't a question of whether you did. It was a question of if you did, would I even be mad? And the answer is no to both of those. I don't believe you fixed it, and even if you did, I don't think I'd be upset about it.
You know what's so funny is when I had some time in the studio today.
And what a day to do it as well. On 9/11.
Right, there were the bluest skies.
I actually was thinking of rejiggering the game. So most of those questions were actually from Dr. Hurst's Twitter, but I wanted to set up exactly the premise of like, oh man, Brian wins a lot of these games. Hopefully Justin can pull it out today. And since the game is set, but instead of the Saturn moons, it's all like the S2007, S13 names for the moons. And Justin gets all of those.
Oh, that would be funny.
And you only get like real questions.
Okay, if you were going to set me up, I would hope you would do it in that way where
it
very clearly telegraphed to me that you're doing a bit. And
I thought about that, and then I was like, I already did it. And then
it was great. It was great, and I couldn't believe it was wonderful that I was naturally missing everything, and that Justin was naturally rolling 20s. It was amazing.
I mean, it would have been better if like you had missed everything. I mean, like the 0-5, that would have been. I mean, if we were fixing it, that would be the way to go.
Or like because I thought Justin would get that last one wrong, and then it could be the big thing like, oh, Brian got the easy one. Brian came from behind and won.
Oh,
but we do that a lot.
For a billion. No. I'm so glad it worked out the way it did.
Oh, okay. Here we go. McSweeney's.com. Someone posted this in our Discord. M Bean posted this in our Discord. McSweeney's.com has a list of the other bathroom numbers. This is unofficial, but this is...
Oh, this is interesting. So number 3 as shower. So in other words, these are functions that you do in the bathroom, because that also fits. We were thinking of them as biological functions.
I think that's a take for sure. Number 3 is shower. Number 4 is shave.
I think we were... The scale that I wish we had agreed upon before trying to decide what this was that it was biological functions you do in the bathroom. So it's like I would not agree that with this list.
Yeah, this is some cutesy hipster shit.
Well, let's for the audio listeners.
Sure. Number 3 is shower. Number 4 is shave. Number 5 is talk to mirror. And
what the fuck?
Remember that this beats out the next fucking 9 of these.
And by the way, think of the number of times you've talked to the mirror. Now think of the rest of this list and how often you've done it.
Number 6 is vomit.
Oh, yes, of course, yes. And of course, slightly behind vomit, but
moisturize.
Well behind the number of times you've spoken to a mirror is moisturize.
Followed by brush teeth.
8 is brush teeth.
Wait for it. Number 9 is masturbate. It's almost not on the top 10.
Also, probably more offensive than 9 is 10, which is cleaning yourself in a tub, toilet, sink, or floor.
No, that's cleaning
the tub,
appliance.
the toilet, the sink, or the floor.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Number 11 is first aid. Number 12 is both 1 and
all right,
2, which
fuck
is
you. I've never gone number 2 without also going number 1.
Right.
Never ever.
Right.
You're gonna put that at number 12? Fuck you.
Fuck off. Number 13 is take drugs, either legal or illegal. That's very twee. And number 14 is just want to be alone. This is like a Facebook post. This is like shared on Facebook.
This is
a Tegan and Sarah song.
I can see it. They make a lot of money on Patreon, maybe.
Well,
shit, are they on Patreon now?
They have over 2,000 patrons supporting independent ad-free satire and comedy. Daily humor since 1998.
I'll tell you what, they might make it into the list. I had always said that the next step for Patreon was that like a big band. McSweeney's. I thought you meant Tegan and Sarah.
Oh no.
Obviously,
Tegan and Sarah don't fucking need that. See, that was my 2 weeks moment, huh? Okay, well, that's a list.
I guess I talk confusing.
So, yeah.
By the way, every job I've had where I looked forward to a bathroom break, I knew it was time to quit. Like if bathroom is your refuge from whatever your day job is, then you're in the wrong day job. You should never ever be excited about like, oh good, now it's time for me to spend 90 seconds not looking at the place where I'm spending the majority of my integrity.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good signifier.
The one job that I was the most miserable at, like, I would deliberately look to maximize my shits. Like, and God, I can't imagine. I did not live in I didn't even have a sidekick. I just had a fucking regular ass phone, a flip phone. Couldn't really fuck around on that. I would just sit there and think about life.
Man, I remember pooping at Dell and thinking how good the prequels were going to be.
You're pooping Adele?
Yeah, at Dell.
Poo.
Yeah, Brian, I think I'm just gonna send you this fucking Paul Mattingly episode that I just recorded. It's fucking like so here's the series that I'm doing. I'm just getting people for like 10 minutes unpopular opinions.
Okay.
Right? So Paul's was that Mace Windu is really a Sith.
Agreed.
Prequels.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Right? And he goes into astonishing detail that by the end of it, I was looking to laugh him off the goddamn podcast. Like, I was like, whatever, you loon, you big old loon doing loony shit, talking about these. They're poorly written. Whatever. You can read whatever into it. By the end of it, he had sold me on a grander conspiracy that that the prequels were fundamentally changed because George Lucas is simultaneously a bad person who doesn't want to be a worse person.
Okay, I'm in. I mean, I totally believe that you already had me at Mace Windu as a Sith Lord. I mean, a never explained, heretofore unacknowledged third good color that also is made up of definitely the bad color. By the way, I'm talking about his lightsaber. Calm down. Yeah, no, I'm in.
By the way, drunk furball, Jar Jar is the Sith Lord. That conspiracy works into this conspiracy. I'm just telling you that the Jar Jar is a Sith conspiracy winds up becoming as the true Sith Lord, Paul Mattingly, eventually brings us all in like Darth Plagueis the Wise into his grand game. Yes, even that. Even the Jar Jar is a Sith conspiracy becomes plausible within this universe.
That is awesome. Hey, so I called after doing that panel with Travis McElroy, and having that awkward moment where I was like, hey, you guys created a property based on your podcast property that, I would love to talk to you about it. And then midway through me saying that, I forget who it was, but somebody was just like, Travis has to go. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then Travis was like, no, if you're doing the same thing, I have thoughts on this and I would love to talk to you about it. And he handed me his card.
That's very sweet.
His card basically said just Travis McElroy, But I called him and he was so thoughtful and kind, and it was a short conversation, like 7 minutes or whatever. But I told him what we were up to and asked a bit about his insight and the worries of like, well, what if you make a version of a podcast and it doesn't do well? And he, among other things, said, take a look at the Stuff You Should Know podcast. They did something they made a very, very bold called shot. And then when it came time for them to do a show for the Science Channel, they made it narrative, fictional, and featuring themselves. And it was in no way reflective of what they did on Stuff You Should Know. It was called Stuff You Should Know, and did not do well. And yet, after it being finished, it in no way negatively impacted their thing at all. And it has me like that reframe was so joyful and positive and put me in such a good mindset to go out and pitch, I don't know, TV versions of everything. It made me want to sit down and think of what would a TV version of Night Attack look like? Could the two of us sit down and write a TV show that is about the energy that the three or four of us have,
Yeah. No, of course we could.
I don't know. That's a fun thing to consider.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I don't want to spoil a Horse Boys complaint. Never mind.
Okay. I just found out about this. Alex Trebek's got a beard, y'all.
Oh, goddamn.
I mean, he's kind of working it. He looks cross-eyed in this shot, but it works for him, I think. I don't know.
There was some...
Did they get a new fucking social media manager? Because, obviously Jeopardy is a cultural phenomenon, but I feel like I've seen more, just Jeopardy viral content in my feed. Because they're like, finally, season 35, and Trebek has a beard, and yada, yada, yada. I feel like this is a push by them.
You know what it might be? Because he had that health scare a few months back. I wonder if this is them trying to, let everyone know he's back, he's doing good.
I think he also might be stepping down. This might be one of his final seasons.
Are you sure? Because I know he had an interview recently that was like, I'll keep doing this as long as they keep paying me. Or
oh, really?
I'll keep, I have no plans to give this up. Yeah, that's at least what I remember hearing recently on this. But I wouldn't be surprised if they have some new.
Okay, yeah, no, I guess maybe it was July.
Maybe it's Pat Sajak.
No, Alex Trebek signals he's retiring from Jeopardy in 2020.
Oh,
There was some day in the life thing. They a 2-minute vignette that they released of him doing that stuff.
Yeah, behind the scenes stuff and in between their days of shooting and stuff, right?
Yeah,
I feel like I saw that recently too.
Yeah, I can't remember who released it though.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a Inside Hollywood Reporter thing, but
I mean, it was sweet, and he was showing off his garden and just the whatever the shit he does every day, and then goes into the makeup chair and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, so this is on Jeopardy.com. A Day in the Life of Alex Trebek on Tape Day. Has he got photos and an itinerary basically? Huh.
Oh, that's right. And I think the part that warmed me the most was when he just you could tell he had worked up 5 minutes of shtick to warm up the audience and to make the same dad jokes that he always makes or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, dude, that'll be a big moment if he leaves. He is like few others, a television staple that has lasted decades, right?
Who do you think lasts longer, Alex Trebek or Pat Sajak? Because those two shows have run in parallel for so long now.
So Pat Sajak was an interesting cat in that he kept his day job and kept launching side properties that took advantage. I have no doubt that both of them would be the most engaging dinner I would ever have with anybody. And they're both wicked smart and real wicked talented and all that stuff. But Pat Sajak seems like he was more interested in busting out of his bubble compared to Alex Trebek. The only thing that's not Jeopardy that I remember seeing Alex Trebek in is an ad for insurance. Whereas Pat Sajak launched the Pat Sajak Show that was a late night phenomenon for a hot minute and then fell off. And then I think he had a show on Fox News for a little bit. He definitely would just not mind telling everyone, oh yeah, one time me and Vanna White had way too many margaritas. We were definitely lit on our show.
Yeah.
And then and luckily I'd been doing Night Attack for a while, so it was can respect, sir.
He had Pat Sajak Weekend, Pat Sajak Baseball Hour. He was on Days of Our Lives for a while.
Yeah, looks like Jeopardy has been on. Jeopardy was on, although I don't know if it was with Alex Trebek, but it's been on since 1964. And Wheel doesn't come out for another 10 years after that. So
yeah, but, Sajak's definitely not on Jeopardy in 1964. It sort of relaunched in
Art Fleming with Don Pardo.
I want to say 1984.
That's right.
Nailed it. Because we were in Houston, we had just moved to Katy for the first time, and I remember it being a new thing. Like, remember Jeopardy? It's back with a guy with a mustache.
Oh, guess what? So Pat Sajak beats him by a couple years. Pat Sajak begins hosting it in 1981.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Trebek will be 80 when his Jeopardy contract expires in 2020.
Fuck me, he looks great
He
for
looks incredible.
late 70s.
He will retire when the odds of retiring in 2020 are 50-50 and a little less, he says. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know who you like, because it took so long for it took a very long time for Drew Carey to even be comfortable replacing Bob Barker. And I think there's still
that
people
first year
who,
was rough to watch.
Yeah.
Like it was.
He's gotten into a rut or a groove with it, but his energy is very different than Bob Barker's.
Well, here's what I think happened is the first year I remember feeling like, and this is just, you get vibes. I remember, I suspect that Drew Carey did Whose Line long enough that he got into his mind that the points don't matter. It's not a real game. Fuck you. Whatever. Yeah, we're just here for the comedy for the show. Mm-hmm. And I think some of that bled over into the first season of The Price is Right, where it's like, no.
These people
this
care.
shit fucking matters.
Right.
And we all worship at the altar of consumerism. And whether it goes blank, blank, or blank, and you're showing you're a good person by knowing what this dishwasher cost. Right. And I think he eventually got to the place of that character. And I know we've shown it before, but you've seen that footage of when he thought that the dude was cheating with his too good, perfect score. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's got to be Ken Jennings, right? Ken Jennings has to be the next Alex Trebek.
But you don't need a smart person to replace Alex Trebek, and you certainly wouldn't get.
I mean, Ken Jennings would be probably he will be somebody mentioned when things circulate as to who will replace him. But all right, if you're gonna pick a celebrity though, because that would be the move. To
get
Bob
a charismatic comedian.
Demanded a sitcom star to replace him. Somebody who had a multi-year franchise sitcom and a stand-up career. Mm-hmm. That's who, gets the Bob Barker role. Who would get Jeopardy?
Oh wow, these are really good suggestions.
I got one.
Okay, in the chat, things I'm liking. Number one, Anderson Cooper, great fit. Don't think that'll happen. Will Ferrell, I think, would be a surprising but good fit because I think at first we'd be laughing at him, then we'd be laughing with him, and then we would come to respect him as knowing everything. Greg Proops, also another good one.
Okay.
Just throw a second head on there and put him in the prequels. Why not?
Yeah.
And then
let's see. Craig Ferguson says Media 909.
Yep. I would totally buy that one.
It might be a little bit of an older pick, but okay.
Yeah, but that's also their strengths are in you need that. That's an old school master of ceremonies. Now, granted, Bob Barker was too, but also I think Price is Right. It's a big, colorful.
You need to be in control. Here are the questions. We're doing this.
Bob Barker was for his time a party animal. Now, the definition of a party animal kind of changed, but there was a time when the party animal was the guy in the suit who would be able to drink a lot and not really show it.
I have a random suggestion, and this is somebody who is kind of a blank canvas that we all generally like, but not for any one specific thing, which suggests to me that he would be perfect for this. Tim Meadows. Tim Meadows could be a great host to take over Jeopardy.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't see it. I think he can play even keel, right?
I can see that. He's very straight laced.
Yep.
He comes across as he's usually the straight man in a lot of this stuff.
Right.
I mean, no, he's also
he's a number of wacky
man.
characters or whatever,
Sure.
but
I think of him. I don't know. I think he has that. Yeah.
I think you don't think of the ladies' man? It was a major motion picture.
That nobody watched. I'm not overly worried about the ladies' man, but he if you see the segments that he did for Dennis Miller's CNBC show, then I don't know. That's I feel like he's got that general good vibe that would work.
Here's my pick. Tell me if it's too on the nose.
Okay.
Paul F. Tompkins.
Oh, that's great. Well, here's the question: is whether Paul
that's-
F. Tompkins would be willing to stop his subversive underground comedy career,
Right.
and become the face of white America.
But is there anything more in his brand subversive than also doing his career, but also going to a studio in Burbank for 3 weeks every 3 months and taping Jeopardy?
So Lisa J says John Oliver, but I think all of us are factoring
No.
in where everybody's careers are. John Oliver would be insane to stop doing Last Week Tonight in order to start being the Jeopardy guy, right?
Oh, Mitsula's got a great one. John Hodgman, I think that would be a solid get.
Yeah,
That was my other pick, but also it's like that's both Paul F. Tompkins and John Hodgman to me are in the same realm of gettable nerd comic. Except I think Paul F. Tompkins is in LA and John Hodgman is in New York.
Blue-eyed
and
ginger-
you really need somebody who likes being in LA.
Blue-eyed Ginger Southpaw says Allison Hannigan, but again, she's got a gig. She's on
doing
Fool Us.
on
She's
Fool Us.
crushing it on Fool Us.
Oh wait, she would fucking
But she would jump to Jeopardy.
yeah. You would see an Allison Hannigan a shaped hole in the wall if she were offered Jeopardy.
I don't know, because Fool Us is crushing it in prime time. You think she's going to step down to 5 o'clock afternoon syndication? Like,
Syndication money with Jeopardy money.
Like Nerd
Yeah.
Epicenter?
I mean,
Like,
I'll leave
never
it to
going
the...
away there for as long as she wants the gig money.
I don't know. I guess I disagree. I think she's in a better position now. I perceive her as above Jeopardy. She's currently killing it as a regular host on one of the top primetime series on a broadcast network station.
Cable.
I cannot conceive. No, it's not cable. It's broadcast.
CW?
CW's broadcast. I cannot conceive of her stepping down to host a syndicated, game show.
Someone said this earlier, and I think it's an interesting choice. Alton Brown. I think it's
Actually, no. That might be another way to go. Is to go with another like instructional.
Smart
I
guy.
know a lot of shit.
and he's still got like he still has a subdued element to him that someone like a Bill Nye has sort of lost recently.
So Toilet Bug has an interesting pick. Bill Burr. He says Bill Burr would rule, but could he rein himself in?
Yeah, no, but that's a parody of it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's us. We want to see Bill Burr host an episode of Jeopardy.
Right.
But maybe
I
he
don't
does.
know if we want to see Bill Burr be the
don't know.
permanent host of Jeopardy.
I mean, restraint is the key word to pull this off. And this is why I go back to Tim Meadows. I think Tim Meadows would be great as the next host of Jeopardy because I think he could exercise restraint. Because you don't want somebody, you want the vague perception that the game master knows more than you, which you know going into it, but you don't ever want to feel it. And I don't know that Bill Burr could ever make the audience not feel it.
I see.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't hate this one. Blossom. Peterman 1000 says, "How about Miam Bialik?"
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, she would be great. Or Salil Moon Fry.
yeah.
Punky Brewster?
I think that's solid. And then you have the CBS connection. Right? No, that's Sony. In any case,
Wait.
that's a solid.
Is Miam Bialik, is she in the good place?
No, she is on The Big Bang Theory.
Okay. She looks a lot like Janet.
She does look like Janet.
I never even had that thought until I just looked at all these photos of her and thought, that's very close to
Who
Janet.
is that? That is
I've never had this thought until I watched a lot of Good Place and then looked at pictures of Miam Bialik.
Darcy. Oh, it cut off the headline here. Darcy Carton, but they look very similar.
Yes. Okay.
All right, who would be the biggest? So Brian, this is where I think we disagree. I think Allison Hannigan would fucking say like, "Hey, thank you, but this show that happens once a year is awesome. This paycheck that happens for the rest of my life as long as I want it. If I'm into that gig, I will take. Who would you say is the biggest celebrity you would say that would step down to do a syndicated, albeit beloved, television show?
So, of the names we've talked about, sorry, Mia Bellick is in what?
Big Bang Theory. One of the most expensive
So,
sitcoms.
right. So that would be a step
But
down.
that is ending
ending.
this season.
Right. Okay. So that is a natural fit, right? You ratchet and you just cash in and go down. Allison Hannigan, I feel like, has more potential to go up, so I don't think she would cash in. Tim Meadows, I don't know what he's doing, but it would perceive to me to be suddenly awesome if he was on my TV every day.
Okay.
Also, LeVar Burton, which I'm seeing on the screen,
Yeah, someone
would be a
suggested
perfect
LeVar
fit,
Burton.
right? Suddenly,
LeVar Burton.
He
but,
would
all right,
be.
but those are people that are like kind of not like they're not currently engaged
Right,
in
they're-
high profile gigs.
Right.
Give me somebody that has a thing. Like, what is the most you could imagine somebody giving up to be the host of Jeopardy?
Ooh.
So in other words, what is the most Drew Carey-like trajectory I can imagine? Because Drew Carey was also in that position where, you didn't know if he was going to be the next Robin Williams or whatever, and instead he just was like, nope, I'll take this and be here forever. Thank you.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
M-Beam says
Like-
James Corden, which I feel like
No.
would be a big step, but I don't think he would do it.
Also,
And I don't
also
think he
you
would be a
can't
fit.
like those are two jobs that you can't do. You could be Alex Trebek and also be a movie star
Yeah.
because you can shoot one movie a year, right? Like you can't be James Corden, a guy who does a thing every night, and then also be this guy who does a very intensive schedule like once every 3 months for
I got
like,
one.
a
I got
month.
one for you.
Okay.
I don't know if he could. I'd be curious to see if he could keep it humble, but I would love to see Hal Sparks take a swing at it. No?
Sure.
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, what is he on a thing now?
I don't know. But it seems like he could do that level energy, and yet project that joy and enthusiasm that I think would really be.
No, you got to have.
But we're looking for the
Yeah,
biggest
like-
name
like-
who would say yes. Who's a big name that would say yes?
Or no, the biggest name in your mind. In your
Oh, I
mind.
see,
The
I see.
big like the level of
Jack Black taking over Jeopardy.
Someone suggested.
I do think the biggest thing that you need to have, no matter what comes out of it, is that like tweed suit with the patches kind of energy. Like Alex Trebek feels like a cool college professor that is quizzing these students, and yes, he knows more, but you kind of like him even if he's a little saucy here and again.
So I don't know if it's an age thing, but do you think that that George Clooney's old enough to where he could just cash in his chips and be that guy?
Man.
If he wanted it,
He could.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
George Clooney can be, I mean, obviously George Clooney would be a draw. Like, if you're going to compare brands.
Like
At some
Cabo
point-
Wabo saying Wayne Brady, but the problem is that
He's
would be a
already doing-
trade up. That would be a trade up. He's already doing Let's Make a Deal,
right.
right? So it's like we're not looking for people trading up. Like who's willing to give up their station to take this steady gig for the
Some-
rest of their days?
Someone earlier said James Spader. That would be an interesting pick, but I don't know that that's the right move.
Spader's energy is too sinister.
Weirdly, James Woods.
Jesus.
I mean, outside of his social baggage, I could see James
I mean,
Woods.
wait, do you want it to only be the like no cucks allowed Jeopardy show?
I'm just saying, like if somebody is demographically trading in one octogenarian for a suitable septuagenarian, then it seems to me that you squint, you can barely tell them apart. That's what I'm saying.
Toilet Bug says, why is Neil deGrasse Tyson not on this
I
list?
tell you
But
what,
I think he's
that might be the ceiling. That might be the ceiling of reasonable, like, because Neil deGrasse Tyson can still do pretty much everything he's doing. He would just have to leave the Hayden Planetarium and become the host of Jeopardy.
Do you think that's
do you think he could just not radiate smug all over the do you think he can say no in that Canadian accent with passion that causes people to feel like they disappointed the Earth and not him personally?
MDTA says Seth MacFarlane, which is a weird, but I think possible
Oh
choice.
my God,
he would
that
definitely
might
do it.
be it. That might
might
be
be.
it because he could be playful and also
He's got the voice, he's got the demeanor, but he has charisma and
oh my God,
suave.
yes, that might be the one.
That might be it.
Seth MacFarlane might be perfect for it.
Oof. And it's that. Oh yeah.
I mean, I can see him. I can see him making the losers feel good.
Uh-huh.
I can see him putting the winners in their place. I
Having
can
control.
see him being on the side of the audience at all times.
Having the
also
very
being
sly,
fair.
the sly comedy, the very small bits of comedy occasionally.
That is,
And he could still do the Orville, yeah.
my goodness! I think we found it.
That's a contender.
I think that's it.
So wait, what was it?
Seth MacFarlane. Specifically for these reasons, this is what we just said while you stepped away. He can give the winners sass, and still have the winners like him. He can give the losers encouragement and be compassionate and have us be on our side. He will always be on the side of the audience, and he knows enough about storytelling and about the stuff he's talking about to be credible. I think he could make everybody happy in what otherwise might be an unpleasant vibe.
I'll tell you what. I believe he talent-wise can do it. In the same way that you think that Allison Hannigan would never leave Fool Us, I don't think that he would ever leave doing production and movies and being the star of his own television show.
Also,
I think he would for Jeopardy, though.
No, that he would
He
stop.
would have time to do
Like,
stuff.
he would have like his passion project is having a well-regarded, critically lauded science fiction series, which he has right now. And by the way, he's the star of, as well as the writer and showrunner.
but here's the question though: is part of our scenario that they have to step away from whatever they're doing to do it? Because I do not believe Allison Hannigan could step away from Fool Us to do Jeopardy full time.
Right.
But I do believe that Seth MacFarlane could continue to do that while doing Jeopardy.
I think it's possible if he steps away from
and do all the Family Guy shit, and do all the Cleveland Show shit, and do all. I mean, like,
But at
I
that
think
point,
that's
he's just doing voices. That's just voice
No,
work.
and producing and writing, and yes, like there are different elements of that, and he can take certain steps back from that. But would he, so he can like lock in for, because like Jeopardy is, I'm going to assume best case scenario, I am doing this longer than anything else I'm ever doing.
Sure.
Like maybe I'll be Pat Sajak and I'll try to do another thing here and again, and maybe it'll get so successful that my double duty won't make sense, and eventually I'll leave this cash cow.
What do you think about MPH?
You know, far more plausible than what's his butt.
I think. I don't know. I don't know if he's too high up. If that's. I don't know.
No, I'm just saying that MPH isn't currently like producing a million shows and involved with a million shows and running a production company and doing all that.
You're right. Seth MacFarlane.
I'll tell you what. Here's to me the lowdown. I'll go with that HQ guy,
Scott Rogowski. I don't know.
He would.
I think he might be too.
Have somebody in the neck to get that job.
He would. I think he's too young though. I think he's.
Don't you want to lock in?
Don't you want to bring in those millennials? Don't you? Look, they all need to buy Dawn and Joy and other soaps. Sooner or later, who's going to tell them what soaps to buy? If not, the guy from their cell phone.
I mean,
and also it's like yes, Alex Trebek is old, but all you have to do is be suitable to an old audience.
Right.
You just need to be that nice new boy.
NPH.
Okay. I can see that.
Soap.
I'm saying Rogowski. Rogowski
We have a couple Tina Feys in chat, but she is busy EPing and writing stuff.
I mean, oh no, she's
They got a Broadway show and shit. I mean, because
Yeah.
also, as Brian knows, it's not just what you're doing. It's the irons you have in the fire and the fire you have to put irons in the fire.
right.
Right? So it's like, that's where I would say the Orville guy, what's his butt? What's his name again?
Seth
Larry
MacFarlane.
McDude.
Seth MacFarlane. That's it. Like he's too ambitious.
Yeah,
like-
Vex's Terry Crews would be an interesting pick.
No, I disagree. I disagree. It's his brand is not trustworthy.
Ooh.
He has spent his brand, like, part of the reason that he was and is the Old Spice guy is because of his sideways energy, and that's not what you want to see in a core figure on a credibility-based program like Jeopardy.
Also, here's the other thing that we need to factor in. Jeopardy, like any kind of daily syndicated show, requires a certain element of work ethic. And so when we're thinking actors, like Drew Carey is an outlier in that he was a stand-up and an actor. Stand-ups might be a better thing because stand-ups are used to doing a thing every day. Every day you go out, you find a place to hone your craft. That's just what that culture is. Actors are like, I'm used to auditioning a lot. I go out, I read the things, I go to parties, I network, and then I get really busy for a month and a half.
Lawn Makes has an offer that makes a lot of sense, and specifically, it changes the energy of the show, and also would be a lock-in at roughly the position he's at. Nick Offerman would be a fairly amazing host of Discovery, or sorry, Jeopardy.
I mean,
It's a Freudian slip.
Paging Dr. Friday.
but you think he doesn't ever want to be on a sitcom again? He doesn't ever want to be in a movie again?
I don't know what he wants. To be honest, it hits the exact same emotional vibe as when Drew Carey went on Price is Right. Like, I was weirdly like, really? Drew Carey, this is where you're going to be? Like, and if Nick Offerman did it, I would feel the exact same way. I was like, really? Nick Offerman, this is where you want to end up?
So I see where you're going. Here's the only difference. Nick Offerman wasn't on the Nick Offerman show. Drew Carey was. Like, he was on a show with his name on it. So where do you go from there?
He had his own
once you've done the
marquee.
show,
Use
called
lock in.
Drew Carey show, you've kind of done what you're going to do in television if you don't have a tremendous interest in movies.
But also,
Like-
okay, think about it this way, and I don't know what the behind-the-scenes numbers are, but if I'm Jeopardy, of all the names we've mentioned, I think of, like, let's call that $1X I would pay for any of them.
Okay.
You say Nick Offerman, it instantly goes to 2X. I would pay double for anybody for the opportunity to bring in just a little bit of that Will Ferrell-esque energy that Nick Offerman could do with the gravitas and the authority and the background and just those brief subversive elements. I don't know. That feels like a very, very good flavor that I would pay twice as much for.
I think he's close, though. I do think he might be too typecast as Aaron Swanson.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's close.
Have you watched his Lagavulin advertisements that he does?
Probably. I think so, and they seem very similar to that character, if I remember right.
It's
I don't see a lot of him outside of that.
like
don't know.
if you watch all of his whiskey stuff, I think it gives you a different angle on him that I think would match really, really well with the authority of Jeopardy, but also evolve the position and make it interesting.
Lisa J is going off. When is the last time anyone in this chat watched Jeopardy? I mean,
I don't know, last
in a very
week.
long time, but this is...
Yeah, hold on.
Wait, hold on, wait. Did it fucking change? Did they add a physical challenge? They shoot guns at the contestants now? Like, it's the same fucking show. That's why it's awesome.
Zuplonic says Oprah, but I think
No
she's going to
way.
keep doing her own thing.
She's gonna be president in 2 years. Who cares?
Yeah. Daniel Radcliffe. that seems
That's
out of
silly.
left field.
That's a bad.
Johnny Depp, so he stops making new movies. Oh,
No. Mike
Mike
Rowe.
Rowe. Okay.
Oh, see, that's I would say that's the element that we would look in, and
Yeah.
Mike Rowe is a little bit more obviously like blue collar, being like the dirty jobs guy,
Yeah.
but that would bring a little bit different energy.
but
maybe
also
you
he
do-
brings-
maybe you need to turn it. You need to turn the dial a little 20 degrees so no one's like, okay, you're doing an Alex Trebek impression.
Right. Well, and plus also he brings the authority, even though it's not in. He can speak with authority. He's got one of those DJ voices. Bad Weave has a bad pick. He says John O'Hurley, Jay Peterman, who already was given Family Feud and managed to be one of the 12 people who got shuffled off to the side on that.
Similar to Mike Rowe, maybe in a sort of Bob Saget sort of turn. The Cash Cab guy, Ben Bailey, take a blue comedian and make him a family friendly.
I don't think you can
name.
do that because he spent so much time establishing his brand as a blue collar guy that I don't know that you can make him an academic in the mind of everybody.
But there's but I look at like Bob Saget doing the exact same thing. Of going from a blue comedian to a family friendly.
Sorry. Not blue.
Not blue collar, but blue
right.
as an explicit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And he's got that sort of folksy sort of, people know him, people love him as the Cash Cab guy.
All right, so Lisa J says, my point is no one here ain't going to watch unless they get some new life with a new host. Laugh at Steve Harvey, but white people love him. Yeah, everybody loves Steve Harvey. He is a 4-quadrant personality for whatever reason. He is soft enough where he needs to be soft. He's hard enough where he needs to be hard. He's inviting but yet authoritative. Steve Harvey is a fucking celebrity for a good reason.
Someone earlier
Bad Weave says Steve Zahn, the author of the Thrawn trilogy. Sorry, go ahead.
Someone earlier suggested Sarah Silverman.
No,
I think that's
two
too
sideways.
wacky.
Two sideways. Like.
Wait, hold on, wait. Brian, what did you say Steve Zahn did?
Timothy Zahn. That's who I'm thinking of. Who's Steve Zahn?
Steve Zahn's the fucking actor, Captain Geach in the Shrimp Shack Shooters from fucking that.
No,
thing
but I loved it that he created Grand Admiral Thrawn in his spare time under the pen name Timothy Zahn.
Captain Thrawn and the Shrimp Shack Shooter.
Michael Rooker. Just every answer is like, what the hell are you doing? Would you shut the fuck up? Would you shut up? Would you just shut up? It's me, Michael Rooker. Alan Alda. See, the problem is you can't replace an octogenarian with another octogenarian. Like you're building an empire.
It's got to be new. But that's the question here, because really what we're trying to answer is, like, all right, so what is Jeopardy? Jeopardy is a calming element of your day. At the end of your day, at the beginning of the end of syndication as you get into the local news, right? It's like 5:30. That's when it airs, and it's about testing your intellectual might against strangers on television with this arbiter that you feel comfortable with.
The core values of Jeopardy, as I perceive them, are authority, honesty, directness. It's essentially the Olympics of like everything else in game show television is like, there could be garbage and spin the wheel and who knows, and there could be randomness or whatever. But Jeopardy seems to be based on the idea that talent has merit and that you can be smarter than everybody else and come out the winner. And you, as a result, whoever hosts it needs to channel that authority in there, which is why, I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of increasingly silly things in there.
Someone made me really think twice about Aubrey Plaza.
She's too talented and has a trajectory
but in
sharp.
In 10 years?
Number one, Aubrey Plaza's got a fucking Oscar in her, within the next, 5 to 10 years.
She has a defining role yet to perform, right? Like,
here's what I'm talking about. Think more. I'm more on the line of Kevin Pereira. Like, Kevin Pereira is, to me, a more likely next Alex Trebek than half of the actors that we've named. Like, not because he's necessarily the perfect person, but because he's got enough gravitas, he's got enough time behind the wheel, he's been on television enough, and he's used to working a daily schedule. Like, that's another element of it, is that you're basically doing this, like, yeah, it's probably once every 2 months, every 3 months.
Sure,
but that's
but
your
you're,
fucking, like, life.
You're going to the factory, and you're gonna make the whatever it is, whether it's the game commentary or the trivia show.
I mean, to be brutally honest, you want to know who would be my pick 150%, as I'm sure it'll be both of yours? The one and only Tom Merritt. If Tom Merritt were to host Jeopardy, it would be fucking lit.
That is a low blow because you said the words, this will be my pick and it'll be yours, and I put up all my defensive barriers, and then you said the words Tom Merritt,
And you sliced
and
right
it
through
was
all
like
of them.
it was like sunshine just blew everything away, and I'm like, of course he would be perfect. He would be perfection itself. He would figure out like the just right amount of when there's an opportunity for a sideways
A little bit of sass.
comment.
Yeah.
He
But
would not
very-
shy away from it.
Good crowd control.
Like, that's where I'm at. Like, because Tom would be like, hey, look, I'll figure out the time during the schedule.
Sure.
Like, maybe during tape season, we'll have to have a few more guest hosts on Daily Tech News Show. But Tom would fucking crush it.
Cookie Hero 289 says, let's be real, it's going to be someone mostly unknown, which I think would be a disservice to this transition because you
the
need
franchise.
a name.
Yeah, correct.
Because otherwise they're going to be like,
No, I
oh,
mean, but to be fair, they're probably right if we didn't live in a world where Drew Carey took over The Price is Right.
Correct.
And like, again, this is my grand unifying theory, as I've tried to explain. I got into a fucking 2 a.m. Screaming bar fight with Curtis LaRock about my grand theory of the Pangea of the monoculture breaking and ever shifting away.
Which, by the way, I haven't even heard this theory, but I'm already on your side because fucking anybody 15 years younger than me doesn't understand what the monoculture was like. Like it was a real fucking thing. You could rely right as rain that everybody consumed the exact same 12 albums you did, saw the exact same 12 shows you watched, took the exact same 12 classes, and had the exact same 12 books.
Like, whenever somebody said, oh, I haven't heard of, like, if someone's like, oh, I haven't heard of Tekashi 6ix9ine. If they said that back in the monoculture, you'd be like, fuck you. Yeah, I know you've heard the Beastie Boys because they're on the fucking radio all the time, and there's 4 radio stations that everybody listens to. So, like, somebody in your life has heard these fucking songs. This is not the same here now. So, in a world where there is a shattered monoculture, the brands that are the ancient brands, the ones that have lasted forever in entertainment, how valuable are they? Because I would make the argument that, hey, there's a reason why Drew Carey's smart, where he's like, hey, look, I just want to be an LA-based comic who makes so much money I never know what to do with it forever. Now, if we look at Jeopardy in 2020, in an era where, like, broadcast television doesn't mean all that fucking much, cable television doesn't mean as much as it used to, like, what does syndicated, been there forever, has viewers that have like will never go away, even if you're bad, what does that mean?
So if I could subscribe to a Ken Burns documentary narrated and created by Justin Robert Young, it would be about, in 2018, who survived the monoculture. Episode 1, Mr. T. Episode 2, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Episode 3,
Betty White.
oh, Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel survived the monoculture.
Well, no, I think it's not survived.
No.
They ascended.
I mean,
they ascended to heaven, and now they have a larger reach than they would otherwise, because while the continents that were once Pangea drift away, all know of the tales of the old country, and it is Bobby's World, and it is the A-Team, and it is all these things, and now they can just pop up back in your life, and you're like, wow, nobody recognizes fucking anybody anymore unless you're literally right next to me, but we all remember fucking Bobby's World. Hooray, right. Bobby's World, we remember.
Will Wheaton.
I'm gonna take that to Mammoth for 5 minutes.
And then quit.
So
Broden Kelly says
Broden Kelly, you're like, nail it. Shit, goddamn it. Oh, so here, Brian, let me pitch this to you. This is the thing that got into a 2 a.m. screaming argument at Dragon Con. There's 2 rock shows right next to each other, right? One of them is the hottest rising rock act currently. And I don't know who they are. I'm assuming nobody else knows who they are.
It's
but
the
right now they are by all available metrics on Spotify, the hottest fucking rock act happening. They're doing everything they need to do. They got a hot single in whatever metric you would count as hot, right? In the other venue right next door, it's Sum 41, one of the last rock bands to have the benefit of the full functioning powers of MTV and rock radio before it fell apart.
Can I substitute Blink?
More people in it.
Can I substitute Blink 182 over something? Certainly, it doesn't matter. Either version is going to be.
No, because Blink 182 I think makes it more of a blowout because Blink 182 can still fill arenas, right?
All right.
Sum 41 can't. So now we're looking at Sum 41
or 311. What about 311? You want to go 311?
They are still headlining fucking festivals.
Okay. All right, Sum 41.
I go with Sum 41 because they are at the lowest rung of that.
So here are a few names that I'm seeing on Spotify's Rock This playlist, which has 4 million followers. Imagine Dragons is probably there. 21 Pilots, Muse, Greta Van Fleet, which is that classic rock band that Andrew Mayne was into. The 1975, Panic at the Disco, Mike Shinoda, Fall Out Boy is back. Normandy.
All these again, all these are acts that had their first hit singles like 20 years ago at this point.
Muse's big hit was 13 years ago.
30 Seconds to Mars is on this list.
Yeah, all right. So 13 years ago. I'm talking about so that was Motley Crue, not even Motley Crue to Nirvana. Like Motley Crue was probably at their heyday in the late 80s. Nirvana popped off in the mid 90s. So these are old acts comparative to how things used to go.
Sorry, what's the thesis we're judging here?
My question
which
was,
would you go to?
I think you agreed with it by asking other clarifying questions. That that the hot rising band, however popular they are with the youth these days, would not fill more of a room than Sum 41 would.
Oh, you're asking if I am living and gonna live longer or dying. I'm definitely dying, so I want to see the band that is dying along with me. Is that where that's going? No?
Well,
No.
But I'm glad you shared your inner monologue.
Paging Dr. Freud.
Sorry. I mean, the problem is that the vague question of like a band. It's sort of like those political questions where they're like, would you vote for an awesome Republican or Hillary Clinton? Which would you vote
exactly.
For,
The only reason why I do that is because I feel like if I named a band, right, if I found the hottest rising band on Spotify or Apple Music and I said it's the Super Pistols, and it's like, would you go to see a Super Pistols show or a Sum 41 show? Because we're not tuned into modern rock
Well,
music.
and
right now,
the
we
answer,
would
of
go,
course,
no, I know the band that I know.
And the answer, of course, is that the answer is directly proportional to the enthusiasm of the people I surround myself with. So, like, if everybody in chat realm was like, "Holy crap, you've got to see this brand new band. They're called Flight of the Conchords. They're kind of like the thing you already like, Tenacious D." Then I'll go. I will go and see this experimental new thing.
Something new.
I guess, and that's the point that Curtis LaRock is making, which we wound up hashing out because we were yelling at each other at Meehan's at 2:00. It's because modern rock isn't mainstream the way it was back in 2003, and that's my larger point. The point I'm trying to illustrate is that we now no longer have a shared culture. All we have is exactly what our interests are. So whether or not you were kind of into rock, but you just happened to listen to rock radio because you didn't like PBS and you didn't like country and you didn't like rap, like, then okay, but you still listen to rock radio because it was just something to listen to. That doesn't happen anymore. We listen to exactly what we want at all times, no matter what. And that means that
I
CX have
disagree.
greater power.
That statement implies that we listen to things because we sit down in front of a magical everything box and we pick a thing. But I don't think that's the case. I think that in our youth we were shaped by the monoculture, which I do believe is a thing. And nowadays we're anybody younger than 25 is being shaped by a different monoculture that is largely fueled by Facebook algorithms, Spotify discoverability algorithms, Pandora algorithms. It's just a different computer run monoculture because
I agree that certainly the algorithms push certain things and then they take certain things down, but they also put you into silos to make sure that you stay, because there is no guarantee. They don't have a monopoly over, I get a radio license, I get a TV license, I get a job at a studio that feeds into this television station, or I'm a record exec that has all these contracts with record stores, right?
yeah.
YouTube could be taken over if they're not there to serve their audience, and they're making sure that by the metrics that they have, the people are watching more and more. So they put you in silos that, yes, in those silos for the age demo that Modern Rogue caters to, like, Modern Rogue will always be up on that level, and Scam School will always be up on that level because you guys are catering to a certain silo. But we didn't have that many silos before. We had like 4 silos on radio. We had, for youth culture, like 3 silos in television.
Badweave has a really good way to put it. He says, I'd describe it today as the echo culture. People immersing themselves in different monocultures based on the closest fit to their already held beliefs. So it's like the monoculture was, shut up, here's the fire hose, take it. There are exactly 3 flavors. There's Coke, Pepsi, and RC Cola. That's all you're going to get. And then now, fine. Oh, you have a nuanced thing? You like Dr. B from HEB? Guess what? You only get to stray in your media consumption exactly 7 degrees away from Dr. B discount cola available at HEB. Like, I like the idea of the echo culture.
The only thing I would quibble with is that the monoculture was Pangea, and whatever we're going to describe the culture for which you are getting has to be a continent. It can still be a continent. It just can't be Pangea. Pangea is gone.
Sure.
Pangea is never coming back.
No, and in fact, I really feel what you're expressing, because like I get mad. So here's a weird confession. Like I fire up an incognito browser to look at Reddit because I resent the way Reddit looks to me, knowing that it's me visiting Reddit. Reddit says, oh, you like /r/magic, you like /r/diamond club, you like /r/modern rogue, blah, blah, blah. Here it is, an echo chamber of the shit you already like. And I'm like, that's not very interesting. It's not very far out of my bounds. Let me back up and pretend to be a random nobody. And all of a sudden I see a bunch of shit that I'm like, wow, this is and this is what factually most of the world is interested in. I had no idea that this was the thing X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, instead of just going to /all?
Here's the thing: is I don't trust
/all.
Yeah, I don't trust anything. All I know is that everything's curated based on what I've already been to. I want to experience things as if I am generic person on Earth, and see what can surprise me. It's the reason that I still love news.google.com is because everything is algorithmically based on what's happening on the planet, and then it forces me to look at opinions that I don't necessarily hold and stories that I don't necessarily think I would have been interested in. And by the way, every fucking asshole in the comments right now saying like, why don't you just add that stuff to your feed? Well, fuck you. That doesn't fix the problem. That just pivots the problem to a slightly different epicenter.
X-Modem says modifier can backfire growing up in a rural AK with in rural Alaska or Arkansas. That's Alaska. With 2 TV stations and 1 radio station is what drove me to have really diverse music taste. No, I know. Look, like my point isn't that. My point is that even in a monoculture, when you don't like the thing that's in the monoculture, you all know that you don't like that, and you create more combined art because you know what you're reacting to. And then that usually got subsumed by the monoculture and became a thing, right? Like alternative music, like, Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all that shit became a reaction to hair metal because things wanted to be more authentic, the way that they were the 60s and the 60s were a reaction to the 50s. The slick dance moves gave way to the singer-songwriter. Like that was like the move of the monoculture, is that once every 10 years or so things kind of changed. And now that died in the 90s. Like that was it. The thing that I said was Napster was the moment that we decided, no, we kind of like exactly what we like. And we're also don't want to pay for it.
And unfortunately, like Napster was the moment that we realized, like, no. I like this thing. What else you got in the neighborhood of this? And then thus Pandora was born. But unfortunately, we're stuck like if I give Muse as a seed on Pandora, guess what? I'm going to get a lot of shit that happened between 2002 and 2008 and virtually nothing else. And then, if I say the Dust Brothers, if I say, the Allman Brothers Band, it's like I'm going to get things that are chronologically siloed with the exact sound of that exact time, and it's going to be exactly 37 songs and no more. And I feel pent in. I feel siloed. I feel like I'm in a straitjacket, and I'm just like, what is literally anybody who is not me really excited about? And explain to me why they're excited about it. And that is surprisingly
by the way,
hard.
that was the pitch of Apple Music. Apple Music was like, okay, well, we want to have curated lists by humans, but also use the data to say, okay, so you do like. So like I'll get every week a new music playlist. And so it'll be, they know that I 90% listen to shit that I listened to in college and I listened to as a 20 something and as a teen. And then they'll say, okay, here are new acts that are like this. And so maybe we'll turn you on to new music.
Do you spend much time, like in, say, the Spotify example? Spotify has tons of playlists for genres or just top 40 or whatever. Have you spent any time looking into that, and instead of wanting that stuff to be fed into an algorithm that it's not going to feed in?
Here is my fear, is that
you got to try.
My time is precious.
Wow.
And the fear of trusting my emotional investment over a period of, let's say, an hour to 7 hours into whatever the thing is, whatever the seed is, I can't let go of the suspicion that this is algorithmically generated that this is sold to BMI or whatever. Like I
But what do you mean by that? Like, what I'm suggesting is going out into another silo and
what
picking
I'm saying is I trust
literally anything.
you, Bryce Castillo.
Okay.
If you said to me, here are 3 bands I think you'll like, the next 6 hours you should spend listening to these 7 albums or whatever, like, that is something I can latch onto and I will give and not fear ending up being a sucker at the end of it. I fear any algorithmic anything making me the sucker, which is probably why algorithmically they probably A/B tested everything and come up with no, stick to only these 35 songs that are close to cake.
But none of this is what I'm suggesting, right? What I'm asking is, like, if you want to listen to something new, have you ventured into literally any other playlist or genre or any of their mood stuff, whatever? Like, what you're saying is you don't want an algorithm, so what you have to replace that with is human input. And because no one's going to make that playlist for you, do you go and do the discovery? Because I know when I go and make, like, my rolling playlist stuff, part of that is me going out and finding related artists and new things, and kind of putting in the elbow grease on that.
And here's the difference: is you are going out into the woods because you want to discover something wonderful and bring it back. Like that. That is you're going out and you're hunting and finding something and a winner. I more greatly fear wasting my time for a story that is nonsensical and is garbage. And so as a result, it's not that I don't trust the algorithms. It's that I deeply crave a story. Explain to me the journey that I'm on. Because, for example, there have been times that I also, when in the early 90s...
This feels incredibly high stakes, the way that you talk about just listening to new music.
Well,
like,
can I just real quick, Brian, before you, I think this will augment your story. Man, there's a difference between how you look at music in your 20s and then past that. At least that I've found. Like, there just becomes different things in your life. Your life, becomes full of shit and things and stuff and responsibilities. And for me, I have found myself before, I was a very adventurous music listener. If I had Spotify and Apple Music and everything in my 20s, man, I would be entering literally every scrap of data I could into it so I could find exactly what I wanted. And then at a certain point, I found that I was not asking my friends, and maybe it's just I lost touch with my friends that were giving me music recommendations. I lost touch with the elements. I didn't want to read Pitchfork fucking every single day. I wanted to read it every week or so, or every time that I thought that there was an album coming out that I cared about. And so now music became a thing that I listened to feel good, a thing that I listened to enjoy myself, a thing that I put on at parties instead of an art that I was actively, almost like scholarly, trying to explore as a fan, right? And that is something that, for me at least, and I can't speak for Brian, although I suspect enough to think that I'm on the right track, that is just like, that's the fundamental difference. Is like, now the internet says, we've solved it. Well, again, with an algorithm. Don't worry, one day we'll just plop the new music that you'll like. And Brian's like, all right, well, if it flops on my doorstep, then I'm sure I'll like it. But otherwise, I'm going to play... I have understood new music. I got into Australian rap, and I will play Australian rap because that's the new music I'm into. Weren't you into that 5 years ago? New music to me. Australian rap it is.
Exactly. Well, and specifically, like, I remember that time of going to college, and I don't know, we're talking early 90s. The alternative thing is happening. And around that time, I discovered the fact that basically classic rock, like 1975 or plus or minus 5 years. And you're discovering, the Doobie Brothers and the Allman Brothers Band and the Doors and Jesus, like there's lots of really genuinely good music from that period. And it was like uncovering an alien treasure chest, and you opened it, and because it had gone through the filtering of time, that the good songs had survived in the best of albums, Steve Miller Band or whatever, and the bad songs just, sort of evaporated, like Paul McCartney's shitty, not top 10 stuff.
Oh my God, how do we not talk about he jerked off next to John Lennon this episode? Move on.
Sorry, is that a thing?
He gave an interview and talked about how he had jerked off next to John Lennon.
Nice.
And said
In
it was
like a
just
5-man dark room jerk-off session.
Yet another way Justin Robert Young and Brian Brushwood are just like the best part of the Beatles. I'm so glad we got there. At any rate, I understand the joy of discovering a whole new genre of everything, and there was a story to it. That was me going out into the woods, finding something, killing it, dragging it back home. But nowadays it's so hard. Like, I don't know, absent meeting another human being and having them personally take you on a journey outside of your silo, how you bust out of that, and that's the frustrating thing. Theoretically, the answer is spin the wheel of like, everyone likes this, go listen to everything or whatever.
It's weird because I'm trying to picture what the solution looks like to help you with this, right? Because it sounds like you want something that humans can't make, but something that an algorithm doesn't, something that isn't touched by an algorithm. Like you are asking for a story which is 2 clicks deeper than anyone's doing. Because you had a similar thing with movies. We talked about this on Cord Killers about a month or so ago, where you were like, I would pay a moderate amount of money for someone to give me a day or 2 long movie course and
take me on a journey. Yeah,
right. But I don't know. At least when it comes to music, it's like, well, if you heard a bad song, then skip it and fine. You can. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is go back to hunt a little bit, because it's become easier to hunt now than back then, right? You have all these more.
I will vouch for Bryce. I've gotten way more into new music since I've actually kind of given a shit to poke around a little bit. This also helped. I've gotten way more into rap, oddly enough. Like I'm now like, because also I found it was this weird element of tribalism that I found out that a lot of SoundCloud rappers, which is another genre of music, were all from like South Florida. And I just like music where I can like have a physical idea of where they grew up, apparently. And like I wound up listening to a lot of I think it was Denzel Curry. I'm into Denzel Curry now. He's my new favorite rapper. I like that trap shit. So it's all
I would say like
separate, just real quick side, Jack. And yes,
sure.
This is.
They would turn off the lights and say the names of very pretty ladies, and they would all imagine what the pretty ladies looked like. It's not a joke.
Separate thing.
A Beatle said that.
Come together after we say the name of pretty ladies over you. If we are.
There is a strong Floridian native theme in The Good Place. And
sure, Brett Bortles.
I would very much like you to experience it.
I'm going to watch it eventually. Ask Toilet Bug. The quickest way to make me never watch something is just to mention every fucking one.
Well, but specifically, there's great Florida moments.
There's a lot of Florida
there is. I'm sure there is. Although, I'm sensitive about that. Sometimes, like, people like to think they're going to joke about Florida, but, like, if they ain't of Florida, we ain't going to take it too kindly.
I think you're going to really like it. I'm just saying.
Bortles! Oh, man. We should probably call it. It's after midnight here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey, good talk, though.
Yeah, not sure we solved anything, but it felt like.
By the way, if you want to follow my rolling playlist, you can find the link at thatsounds.cool.
I will say
Cool shit
this.
lately, it's on Spotify.
I very often listen to That Sounds That Cool, and they are always good lists, and they always remind me that Bryce is way hipper than I am.
Well, and plus also Bryce does a good job of telling the story of what is wonderful about X, Y, and Z. He's like, this is J-pop. It sounds like this. This is K-pop. It's like it's the letter that comes after J-pop. And then he's like, oh, this is hip-hop.
That's accurate.
It's
That's right,
Latino,
yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Phil,
Is
right?
that
What's your favorite reggaeton act?
Wait, who are you talking to?
I just figured. I don't know. I don't know why. I just you know that
That reggaeton?
the rigatoni?
reggaeton.
Hell's yeah, dude. Yeah. The reggaeton is delicious.
Like the good Parmesan. Big Parmesan.
He's like, I keep putting the pepper on. He's good. Reggaeton. No. All right. Love you guys. Peace out. PTFO. Peace the fuck out.
Peace the fuck out. Bye. Oh, shit.
Oh.